Okay, 6:05. Now let's go to start officially. Well, welcome everybody to series number 3 of IRB webinars. Today, I'm Professor Amilcar Jimenez. I'm the IRB coordinator for all the campuses in the United States. And today we're gonna be talking about what does the IRB evaluate? And I believe this is a short presentation though, but I'm pretty sure that you're gonna have a lot of questions with this presentation. And the reason is because this is what we need to be careful when our students start preparing their methodology in their proposals to avoid either the contrary of what says over here or to try to put specifically what says over here, because this is what we in the IRB gonna be looking for. Okay, as usual, any questions that you have, you may write it down or you can raise your hand and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. There is no limit in questions and there is no simple question. Every single question is important. Remember, my goal is for you, when you leave the webinar, you have everything as clearly as possible. Okay, so what does the IRB evaluate specifically? Well, let's gonna start by saying that the IRB have 4 different types of review classifications: administrative, exempt, expedite, and full review. These classifications are determined by the level of risk to the subjects associated with the project or the investigation, the type of research that it's going to be conducting. It's going to be an educational intervention, ethnographic observation, a survey, questionnaires, interviews, depending on those. The sensitivity of the research questions or complexity of the research design, and the involvement of vulnerable populations as research subjects. Now, let's gonna say this and have this clearly stated. IRB does not deal with the methodology you want to use. However, we will be looking that all the precepts of the Belmont Report, as well as the federal regulation, are observed and applied through those methodologies and through that information. Once we pre-classify those research projects, the assigned reviewer will evaluate different documents within the study. Those documents come from the IRB Net platform, and that will be series number 4, okay? But some of those documents are the protocol submission form, which could be F01 for research studies or F08 for literature reviews or case analysis. The research proposal, although we concentrate on the research proposal, we concentrate mostly on chapter 3, which is the methodology. We do read the whole 3 chapters, okay? Checklist, questionnaires or surveys, any ad or flyer, information sheet, informed consent, or any other document IRB deems or required to be evaluated. All these documents should be included in the IRB platform. The IRB reviewer will read the entire proposal, as I already mentioned, but we in the IRB pay special attention to the methodology, specifically, and here we're going to start, and I will appreciate, I'll recommend you that take notes for this, because this is very important, because I do know, for example, I do know that Dr. Woelki we'll have the DMP students submitting different proposals soon. So this is very important. That all the information is the same in all related documents, meaning informed consent, the protocol submission form, the proposal. For example, if the proposal says that questionnaire will be submitted through SurveyMonkey, make sure that on the protocol submission form, either F01 or 08 says the same, okay? The next thing that we're gonna be looking for is the level of risk involved in the investigation. That risk should be minimal or less than minimal. And of course, that is properly explained. Minimal risk or less than minimal risk is the kind of risk that we have in our daily activities. For example, and this is also very important, these are different hints that I always give to everybody. For example, there is no way that within a project you have no risk. There is always going to be a risk. What will be that risk? Get tired of reading, get boring. That's another kind of risk. Those are considered minimal or less than minimal risk. The type of population that will be part of that investigation, specifically that those populations are not classified as vulnerable. Meaning, try to avoid, it's not that you cannot use them. You can use those kind of populations, but as much as we can, try to avoid using prisoners, children, pregnant women, elderly, mentally or physically disabled people. Those are the vulnerable populations. We also evaluate that the person who's going to be the person responsible for that research or investigation, and that proposal should include information about the main investigator, the mentor. Okay. What kind of information we're looking? Contact information, credentials. That's why we required or we request that every single person involved in this protocol or investigation send and upload the 3 main certifications. If nursing, you know that you have to add also a couple more, the good clinical practices and the biosafety and HIPS for biosafety, and the resume. Not only from the PI or principal investigator, meaning the student, but from the mentor. And in most cases, the same information from the academic director, which is the 3rd person who signs that packet. The IRB reviewer also will evaluate how and what type of consent will be obtained. Also the assent if necessary. Now, the consent. You can waive the consent if the risk is minimum or less than minimum, and you're not using special or vulnerable population. However, you need then to establish an information sheet. Okay? The assent. The assent will be required if you are using children. In that case, we will need not only the consent from the legal guardian or the parents, but we also will require the assent of that participant, of that subject. And again, this is kind of tricky over here. You can get the consent from the legal guardian, but if the participant, if the kid, the children, the child says, I don't want to, you cannot use that one. You cannot force that one. That child does not give you the assent. And remember, in the States, adults starts at 18 years. So if you have a population 17 or younger, you will need the consent of the legal guardian or the parents and the assent of the participant. Another very important area, how the investigation will be realized, including but not limited to location, the detailed process, who will be in charge, how the investigation or how the participant will be addressed, where, for how long. Those are important information that needs to be in that methodology, okay? How the integrity, confidentiality, and security of the information and participants will be achieved. That includes what methods will be used to protect the privacy and confidentiality of the participants and information. For example, and this is another hint that I give to everybody. If you said you're collecting data from an interview, you cannot make that interview on an open space. Okay, you have to have that interview on a closed area. Who will be interviewing? What kind of questions? How you're gonna address or get the results? Where you're gonna locate that information, which happens to be the second dot over there. Where, for how long, and what process will be used to store and safeguard the information. Please, please, please avoid saying, I'm gonna safeguard the information on the first drawer of my desk. Any reviewer will highlight that and will send you that back, okay? That's not a secure place. The best way to do that is information will be on a sealed envelope, locked in a file cabinet in the main office or residence of the principal investigator. Nobody but the investigator will have access to that information. Who will be responsible to safeguard the information and or any other material or materials related to the investigation or research? It's very sad to tell you this, but we on the IRB, we do have had cases that we have to stop the investigation and withdraw that investigation because somebody found confidential information at the top of a desk in the office. That could not happen. Furthermore, that reviewer will also evaluate how and when that the commission process will take place, that the process is clearly explained, and who will be responsible for the process. I have evaluated studies that says that Once the information or once the study is finished, the private investigator will burn the papers. That's a no-no. Or will erase the USB. That's a no-no. Okay. The IRB will not accept no one who burns any paper. Okay. Those paper needs to be shredded. IRB in the States, we require 5 years. Those information, those papers needs to be safeguarded for 5 years minimum. And you have to shred it. If you use any electronic devices like external memories or USBs or any other kind of electronic storage, you have to not erase it, but you have to destroy it. Okay, it have to be destroyed, not erased. The inclusion and exclusion criteria should be or must be clearly stated. Okay. Time frame. The research time frame should be clearly established, meaning when the research starts, when the research ends. Usually, I recommend everybody to measure a year. It doesn't matter if it takes less than that, but you're covered for a year. The approval will be for a year. If you finish before that, fine and dandy. What benefits will be obtained from the research? And if those benefits are greater than the risks. And if I'm not mistaken, both protocol submission forms request not only the benefits for the researcher, but for the population and the society at large. We also got to evaluate the checklist, which is a format that you can find. It has to be completed in all areas. The consent or information sheet is properly worded and include purpose of the study objectives, contact person and information, the voluntary participation that the person can withdraw without any retaliation, location of the studies, the responsible person for the research, and the benefits. We're also going to check that the protocol submission form is being completed in all the areas, and that information is consistent with the proposal and any other related documents. I have found some studies that says ABC on the proposal, and then on the form, it says BAC. No, if it's ABC, it's ABC consistently in all related documentation. The same happens with the title. If your proposal says the relation between COVID-19 and the levels of energy in the individual, make sure that the proposal says that you put the same title on the platform and you use the same title in every single document, because it's literally is not the same. The relation between COVID-19 and the production levels of the persons that the COVID-19, the relation between COVID-19 and the relationship with the population. It's not the same. Also, the flyer or any advertisement must be cleared and include all the required information or any other documents that the IRB deems necessary. Make sure that all those documents match everyone across the border. One of the things which is very important, and I always tell this to everyone, when you're writing these, remember, you are the specialist. You know what you're talking about. However, if you're telling me that you're going to make a study of the COVID-19 relationship with energy levels in the, I don't know, in children between 15 and 17, you know that information. I don't, nor the reviewer that will read that information. So, what I want to say or means by that, make sure you write these and please avoid any area where the reviewer can get in and catch you. Make it simple but clear. Don't let anything for the reviewer imagination. You don't know how imaginative we can be. You don't know how creative not only our students, but our reviewers can be. Also, always remember, a comma can change the meaning of a sentence. So make sure, please, make and be very, very clear. Any questions up to here?
Amilcar, this is Dr. Kayafa. How are you?
Pardon?
This is Dr. Kayafa. How are you?
Hey, ¿cómo se encuentra, Dr. Cayafa?
Good, good. I have a question, Amilcar.
Yes.
For the flyers, do we have to use the same title that we are using for the research?
Yes.
We have to.
Yes.
Okay. Same name, same. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Remember, if you advertise something, it should be the same.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Now, this is very important. The IRB reviewer does not evaluate, but can make any recommendations on the writing and format, style, grammar, and spelling. Okay. So we will not stop or not approved or recommend for approval any study because of grammar or style. Okay. However, we will recommend for the mentor that check the grammar or style. Okay. Also, the IRB reviewer does not disapprove a research. The only thing an IRB reviewer can do is recommend approval or request modifications or corrections. Any questions up to here?
Yes, hi, good evening. This is Dr. Diaz. I have a question regarding the electronic data. You specified that we're not allowed to say that we're going to burn it or erase it, but that we're going to destroy it. Do we have to specify how we're going to destroy it?
Usually, yeah, usually what I recommend, destroy the USB with a blunt object. Hitting with a blunt object. That's why I also recommend not to save anything in your personal computer, but try to use an external memory like USB or something. Again, saving in your personal computer, okay, it's your personal computer, but if that personal computer gets stolen, we have a breach in security over there. Same happens with if you have an USB, you left it or you missed it or something, it could happen, but it's less, how can I say? It's less probable that you lose a USB, because if USB you have it in your key chain or something. Any other questions in terms of what the methodology should include? What we at the IRB committee evaluate? And this is very important again. I know for a fact that the doctoral programs gonna start submitting researches and investigations through the IRB. So it doesn't matter what area, have to look for the same, for these same points that we punctualize and discuss today. However, there are areas like nursing, like social work, that tends to be a little bit more precise and more close to the subject, because they touch sensitive areas. Okay. The other day, I don't remember, I think it was you, Dr. Cayafa, and correct me. You asked me, your students, I was talking to your class, I think, in terms of what kind of population you can use and stuff like that. Again, try to avoid any vulnerable population. But if you have to use it, then make sure that you establish what kind of protocols you're gonna look and observed in order for you to protect confidentiality, not only of the participants, but for the information. For example, if you're gonna do a case study, or you're gonna do I don't know, a regression study in terms of a group of patients on a nursing home, you need to have, if those patients are in a nursing home, that means that they're elderly, that means that that's a special population, a vulnerable population. Meaning you will need not only the consent of their legal guardians, if they are not proper to give the consent by themselves, okay, and try to avoid any probably direct contact, or if you're gonna be observing, make sure that the only person that it's observing is you, okay? Please, please, and this is for everybody, do not take pictures or make any video recording. If you're gonna do that, you have to be very careful where you're gonna make that recording and where you're gonna state it. Okay? Avoid pictures. There has been cases where the person took a picture in his first day as a emergency doctor, and guess what? That person does not realize that in the back of where he was, there was a code blue running. They're still negotiating how many zeros they're gonna put on the check. And that happens over here in Florida, like 3 years ago, before the pandemic. So we need to avoid those kind of things, are the things that we need to avoid. Any other questions? Okay. Now, once we observe all those, the general process is as follows. The student researcher or principal investigator, the PI, must prepare the proposal observing that all the information has been fully discussed with the professor mentor and that both parties agree to what is going to be presented. The information presented in the proposal is clearly stated and meets all the necessary requirements as established by the IRB, which we already discussed. That you fill out the appropriate protocol submission form, meaning F01 or F08, okay? And that all required documents are in the proper format and ready to be uploaded in the platform. What is the proper format? And this is also very important. If you are taking notes, please make a note of this. The protocol submission forms, consent forms, flyers or ads, questionnaires, information sheet, assent form, if you require an assent form, must be in Microsoft Word, not PDF, Microsoft Word. The rest of the document, like copy of the certifications, copy of the resume, any letter of support if you are doing these outside in a facility outside, any letter of authorization, all those could be uploaded as a PDF, but proposals and any document directly related with the project needs to be in Word format. Reason, once the project is approved, those documents needs to be sealed. And if you send me those as a PDF, sometimes the student put everything together and does not give me space to place the seal, the official authorization seal. So if you send it to me in Microsoft, I will say play a little bit and accommodate the seal. But every single document needs to be sealed once the project is approved. And those papers are very important because the students should include those approved documents when they finish the whole proposal, the whole project. They're gonna put it in, you're gonna bind it, you should include those. Once the student research or the PI completes all documents, he will upload into the IRB platform. The PI must electronically sign the packet after uploading all required documents and will share. And this, we need to be very careful with this. Make sure your students share, never submit. Share the packet with the professor or mentor once the packet is signed. Okay, remember, the student never submits. The students share with the professor mentor. And that's the reason why that needs to be in that way. Because I receive every single proposal project from the 3 campuses. Now it's going to be the online university also in Dallas. I cannot receive or be aware of all the students' names. So The process over here, the SOP that we established in the States, students sign and share with the mentor, mentor signs and share with the academic director, and the academic director submit the packet. In that way, I know that that package is from the States and I can retrieve the package. So please make sure that your students knows that they have to share, not submit.
Amilcar, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so the process is as follows. The students sign and then share with the professor mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And the professor mentor share directly to the academic director.
In your case, in the nursing case, and this is something that you want, if you want, you can discuss with your team over there, with your professors, and this is for all the areas. Usually we have 3 signatures, but I know, for example, that due to the fact that topics that nursing usually use, I know for a fact that the program director, meaning Dr. Waelki or you, Dr. Kayafa, want to see that project also. In that case, you have to instruct your teacher, your faculty, to share it with you.
Okay.
And then you share it with the academic director. The important thing over here is that it will be very difficult for me, and it has happened before, that the student submit the packet, and because I don't know the name of the student, 2 weeks after the packet is submitted, the mentor calls me, "Hey, Amilcar, have you seen the package from such and such?" What package? Because it's not submitted from the academic director. Also, every time that happens, it misses signatures. And that would think that I cannot proceed if those signatures are not there. Once the professor receives the package, that professor or mentor needs to verify that all the information presented has been discussed with the student, and you both are agreed on that all documents meet the necessary requirements as established as the effort set by the IRB, that the submission form has been properly completed, and that all required documents are in the proper format and ready to be uploaded. Again, the professor then completes the revision and verify that everything is uploaded in the platform, and the student has electronically signed the packet. Then the professor signed the packet, and once the professor sign it, it will share with the academic director or to the person that the program director you want to share, you want to have another level of double checking, that's fine with me. Okay. If by any reason there is no appointed or available academic director, then that professor will share, in this case, the professor will share with the program director or the dean of the school. And is the dean of the school the one that will submit if there is no academic director? But again, never ever the professor shares. Sorry, the professor submit, the professor shares, not submit. Finally, the academic director will receive a notification that a package has been sent to him. That academic director will check that all required documents are there, that the student and the professor have signed the package, and then the academic director will electronically sign the package and submit it. Once that happens, then I receive notification that a package has been submitted. Any questions? Once I receive that notification, I will go immediately into the platform and retrieve that research, that protocol. We call it protocol. And immediately I will verify that the packet is duly signed by everybody, and the packet has every single document. And if not, and Dr. Huelke and Dr. Callafa do have experience with this, I grab the phone and immediately call Dr. Callafa. I have this and this without signature. Isn't that, doctor?
Yes, it is. You will receive a phone call from Amilcar and all the documentation is not there.
Okay, so please, again, if I don't have that documentation or that signatures, I cannot proceed with the evaluation nor the assignment of a reviewer. When I have everything, then I pre-classified the study, and if necessary, I will assign a reviewer. The evaluation and approval process should not take more than 8 to 10 business days to complete, depending on the classification of the study, of the protocol, and how fast the student researchers submit any request corrections. Evaluation timeframe is as follows. Administrative review, which is usually literature reviews, are 1 to 3 business days. Exempt review are 3 to 5 business days. Expedite reviews are 5 to 8 business days. Usually it could take a little bit more, but if the study is classified or is recommended to be classified as a full review, that will take more than 30 days. And we do have the experience over here that a couple of our studies has been reclassified as full review. And it's a huge process. Questions up to here?
Yes, this is Dr. Diaz. In the event that you consider it full review, does the IRB give us the opportunity to modify it before it keeps moving forward?
Okay. This is how it works. Usually when I receive, doctor, and that's a very nice, very good question. Once I receive the protocol, I read the protocol and pre-classify. Let's say I said, okay, these have more than a minimal risk. I'm gonna classify it as an exempt. Perfect. I assign a reviewer. And that reviewer comes back to me and said, you know what, Amilcar, that I don't think this is an exempt. I think this is an expedite. I need to immediately, I will notify the mentor, the professor, because this is also very important. Me, I never, ever talk to the student. I always gonna contact the mentor or professor. Always. My communication is with the mentor or and the professor. Okay, not with the student. Reason? To avoid misunderstandings, to avoid anything. Just go directly to the mentor, which is the person that is guiding that student. Now, when that happens, I need them to reassign the protocol to a second reviewer. Okay? If that second reviewer says, you know what, this could be an expedite, but need these and these and these modifications, Those reviewers send me their modifications, and I will send it back to you, to the mentor, so you can work on those modifications. However, if you came back with those modifications and the reviewers still think that that is more than minimal risk and that it's a very, very delicate, vulnerable population, and they recommend full review, I have to reclassify the study as a full review, and then those any other modification will be determined by the committee in a full plenary session. You're always going to have the opportunity to revise, okay? But that comes from a plenary session, in which case I cannot have to recuse myself from any discussion to avoid conflict of interest. Did I answer the question, doctor?
Yes, thank you very much.
Milka, and Dr. Diaz, that's why it's very important that now that we are in the beginning of the process, we make sure that the intervention that we are using is at minimum risk or close to minimum risk. So that way in the future, we don't have to worry about having a full review. And Amilcar mentioned that I call him in the middle of my class just because I have one student that what she wants to do, I know is gonna be risky for because of the population that she wants to study, and she seems not to understand why, and that's what I call because if we set it up from the beginning at minimum risk, then we should not have problems in the future. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, and don't misunderstand me. It doesn't mean that you cannot have some kind of risk, okay? Because at doctoral level, we're not going to do any literature reviews. We have to
I
go.
agree. Yeah, I agree. I mean, but at least minimize the risk. That's what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. So try to minimize those risks, and how you minimize that? Avoiding vulnerable populations. For example, I will say 5 years ago, I was assigned to evaluate as a main reviewer a full review study from Puerto Rico, and the population was pregnant women. One of the things that the student wanted to do with those pregnant women was putting them to jump and do exercises on a pregnant woman. That's a no-no. If you tell me that you're gonna use pregnant women and you're gonna give yoga exercises, or you're gonna put them to walk, but you're not gonna put a pregnant woman jogging, okay? Or doing the gymnastics, or playing basketball, or do any high impact exercise. Okay, so besides that, even with the low impact exercises like aerobics or whatever, you need to have over there an ambulance, a medical center where you can conduct that person in case of any emergency, and at least you need to have a paramedic or a nurse specialized in pregnancy. The best will be having a doctor over there, but if you can have a doctor, you need to make provision for any situation that could happen. Okay, of course, that study, the board didn't approve it. So, and if that happens, that it has happened before, in that case, I'm so sad to tell you, but the student needs to start from scratch in another kind of study. Okay, it has happened before, not over here in the States, fortunately, but it has happened in Puerto Rico. Any other questions? Once the reviewer recommends the study for approval, then the IRB coordinator will issue the letter of approval, okay, to the student. But again, I send everything to the mentor. And I send copy of that approval to your academic director, to your program director, if I have the program director, and to a couple of other persons that would like to know that a study has been approved. Okay, those I also send every single document officially sealed, okay, with the IRB sealed. And again, once more, I never communicate directly with the researcher, the student. I do communicate with that professor or mentor. And I have had some students that have write to me, either send me an email, and I answered that email very happy, but I said, you have to contact your professor or mentor. Any questions? I know there's a lot of information that you're thinking about, and probably you will not have any questions right now, but if you have any questions where you start doing your students with your students, those proposals, feel free immediately to contact me through the email. Or I'm gonna give you my phone number. Okay, it's not in the presentation. That number over there is my office number. But I'm gonna give you my phone number. And that's 727-313-8339. That's my personal cell phone. If you have any question, the best way to contact me is texting. Hey, Professor Jimenez, it's me, Dr. Diaz. Can I call you, or can you give me a call? And believe me, I will answer you in a 24-hour span. And I think Dr. Kayafa and Dr. Woeki could also attest that. Let me see if I have any questions over here in the chat. I think, yes, I think Dr. Diaz, I think I answered the question.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, okay. 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 Oh, I got Professor Emmanuel Cotto from online. Nice. Welcome, Professor. Any questions? Okay, we don't have any questions. I'm going to stop sharing over here. And this is basically our presentation for today. I told you it's going to be a short one. Once again, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate your presence over here in these seminars. Next webinar will be, that will be series 4, and that will be on Tuesday, July the 12th. And that seminar is also very important because that is the one that we're gonna learn how to upload, how to register on the IRB platform and upload documents on the IRB platform. Not only you as a professors, but the process for the students and the process of submission. So that's a very, very important presentation. All these presentations will be available, I think, on Canvas. Right now, we're working on those. I know I owe Dr. Woelke some of these presentations in PDF. My apologies, but we are working on that. I'll try to expedite those as soon as I can.
Thank you, Amilcar.
Okay.
Thank you, Amilcar.
Thank you
No
very
problem.
much.
Thank you very much. Once again, enjoy the rest of your evening. It's hot out there. It's going to be rainy tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I have to do everything, even give you the weather report.
The weather channel.
Give me the lotto numbers.
Me too.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you,
Have a good
Amilcar.
evening.
Good evening.
This will conclude the Series 3 webinar from the IRB. What does IRB evaluate? This is Professor Amilcar Jimenez, host, signing off.